Hello. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. I'm barely getting connected in time, but I'm here and so are you. It's good to see your faces. Hello, Saray and Allison and Holly. Jen, good to see you. Elizabeth. Anne, oh good, I'm glad Anne made it. I'm glad all of you made it. Lorianne, good to see you. Juliet, Gail, Daria, Deb, Moonbeams. Did I miss anybody? Jen up there. I see Jen is here too. Good to see you. Oh, so thank you for coming tonight. I don't know about the rest of you, but this has been quite a month. I know we missed July but it seems like July sped by and now here we are in August and I'm feeling a sense like the hint of September in the air. It's still humid and it's hot, but there's like this hint of September that's kind of creeping in there where I am. And I like it. I'm happy for September's arrival, even though it makes me feel a little freaked out about the end of the year too. It's just nice to feel that breath of September. Oh, good. Dawn's here too. Hello, Dawn. Okay, so I'm going to give people like one more minute to wander in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. And super happy to see everybody. Been having some trouble sleeping lately and feeling really kind of, I don't know, I'm getting tired of saying I feel discombobulated because that's been going on for a little too long. And but kind of continuing a little bit into this month, and that's okay. I try to remind myself that, you know, like the basically life is life. Life is life, and it's okay that it doesn't always feel smooth and easy. It doesn't mean we're doing something wrong just because it doesn't feel smooth and easy. I see that I seem to have a little bit of a screen distortion going on where I'm kind of rippling a little bit. That's, I think my video card on my laptop is not the greatest and my internet connection is also not the greatest. So I apologize and acknowledge that I see that happening. And I think that's part of what's going on tonight. Oh, Bridget is here too. That's good. Okay. Actually, I'm going to make the screen a little smaller and see if that helps with my. Oh, then I can't see everybody. I like to see everybody. Okay. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to August's Simple and Sacred Online Circle. We are celebrating Lammas this month and the Festival of First Fruits. So thinking about the things that we have harvested early in this season, the first harvest, like what is coming to fruition. I like to invite people to consider those seed dreams that you planted at Imbolc, those things that you've nurtured in the tender darkness, carried through the heat of the summer. And now we're starting to see what's bearing fruit and what has withered and it's time to lay aside. I don't know about the rest of you, but sometimes there's an idea that feels good at the beginning of the year and you're like, yes, I'm totally going to do that. And then by the time you hit August, you're like, that actually, it didn't work out. Maybe I didn't really want to do it. Maybe it just, the idea wasn't the right time for it. So it's time for both things, seeing that fruit that has come into juicy ripeness and also seeing what's withered on the vine and is ready to be released or even sacrificed. So that is kind of the mood of the season, at least for me, where I am. And so let's go ahead and settle in to our bodies, into this time and this place, in this circle that we are making together. So inviting you to take a nice deep breath. And calling yourself into this time and this space with these people at this moment. You may wish to put a hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And just let yourself feel where you are, however you feel. If you feel serene and at ease, if you feel fragmented or jumpy, welcome that in. Invite your whole self to be welcome in your own heart right now, however you feel. Calling your spirit back, calling yourself in. And settling yourself here into the soft space of your own belonging, right here, right now. We pause to bear witness. We pause to connect. We settle into presence. We return to center. We soften into the expansive. We listen to the landscape, to the goddess, to our hearts, to one another. Open ourselves to enchantment, to the magic of the moment, to the magic of the ordinary, whatever it holds. We feel our own belonging. We steep in our own magic. We step into our own knowing. Thank you so much for coming tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and read the reading from 365 Days of Goddess for today, August 11th. So inviting you to still stay settled in your body and to consider these words. I'm going to ask you, not exactly meditation, but I'm going to ask you to let them sink into you and consider that still point of what that this reading speaks to. And I think it's a good reminder with the swirling we speak about that quote that I like to share from Patricia Lynn Riley about the life practice being to return. And the other part of that quote is there will always be distractions. Like it's normal to have there be distractions. It's normal to feel pulled off course. It's normal to feel off center sometimes. The life practice is to return. And so this speaks to that feeling, even though I had not read that quote yet. In a circle, so pausing and settling in a circle of that which is never ending, pause anyway, stop anyway, rest anyway. There is a still point in the center where you may sit, where everything else keeps spinning around the edges of the wellspring. No compulsion, no performance, no proving, no pleasing, just listening, perceiving, and responding to what is now. Embody your joy, taste your magic, and then take your next breath and take your next step. So inviting yourself right now to pause in that still point at the center, that wellspring within, pausing at the still point in the center. And maybe with your eyes closed, giving yourself a moment to let that next step bubble up from deep inside you. That next step may relate to a choice or a relationship or a job or a family member, but whatever that next step is, let it bubble up from that still point in the center, from that wellspring of knowing. Might be a feeling, an image, a word, or just a knowing, maybe fuzzy, maybe uncertain. There's something there that emerges from that still point at the center. There's something there. So with a deep breath of trust in that knowing, if you brought a candle with you tonight, go ahead and light your candle now in honor of that knowing, whether it is fuzzy and uncertain or bumpy or unraveling, that seed of knowing that's in that still point. Go ahead and light your candle now in honor of that knowing. I have my little cauldron candle. I love to light that one for our circles. And then going ahead and extending your hands outward and letting your gaze travel around our Zoom room tonight, letting yourself look at the people on either side of you, the people who are joining us in our circle from their times and their places and their states and their landscapes and their countries, and letting yourself sense those other people and this web of connection that we weave together tonight across the miles, across time zones and seasons even. And letting your awareness of the energy that we make together travel around. And when you feel ready, you can bring your hands back to your own heart and seal that in for this hour. We are no longer a grid, we are now a circle. And lovely Allison has volunteered to do one of our readings from We Moon tonight. And so I am hoping for a reading of My Harvest is New Intentions from page 117.
Okay, this is My Harvest is New Intentions by Marna Scooter. On the day to mark early harvest, I carried dried clods in a satchel. My dream stick falls to earth, dry hasps of mugwort in 6-foot lengths, a kind of broken cane between dimensions. I carry clods of dust from the remnants of kin action from work that doesn't serve me. Buck up and priestess power. Everything is not broken. In fact, nothing is. This is the early harvest, a kind of intrinsic liberation. I am willing to try something else, to be something else. I grate the clods in my pocket into fine silt. Bless it. Mix it with the dried leaves of dreams. Allow the green lit air, a kind of breath from across the sweet bird turning mist, to gently moisten this in a pot of soul seeds. I plant these fresh intentions. Presence as sufficiency. My harvest is new intentions.
Thank you so much. That is a great one, I think, for this time of year. And I also think it's good to remind us when we feel how this season, the year starts to wind down. I often get my new word of the year at this time of year. Like it's kind of like there's both the sensation of new beginnings and chapters closing. And I think it's important to remember that we can always set new intentions. We can always harvest new intentions. It's not we don't always have to pin those things to specific points in the calendar. There's always, the door can open to new intentions at any time. So I really like that. Thank you for reading it for us. And so I did want to invite us to consider, I've been, the last couple of months, I've been inviting us to consider the questions from the little snapshot cards for the month, because I have a tendency to get those ready and then I kind of move on and make other stuff. And I find it really helpful to come back to those. That's my whole idea for creating the snapshot cards in the first place, was to give us a really easy way to come back to core themes or questions or considerings or musings. And so the first thing I'd like to do tonight is to invite us to consider some of the questions from that card. If you have a journal with you, or you have your 30 Days of Goddess prayer book, or you have just a blank piece of paper and a pen, or the notes on your app, on your phone, I would like to invite you to take about 2 to 5 minutes to journal about these first, and then we can have a shared discussion. So the question is, what is sustaining you? And that might come out as a piece of writing, like a paragraph, or it might be a list or even a poem. So what is sustaining you right now? And are you having any fun? What is sustaining you? And are you having any fun? You can let that question bubble up from your belly as well. Okay, so wrapping up in about another 30 seconds or so, what is sustaining you? Okay. Just briefly acknowledging that I see that Elizabeth and Anna Maria came in after I already said hello to people. So welcoming them as well, and giving a brief shout out to the people who will watch this via replay. I always want the replay people to feel like they're included in the energetic web as well. So sending a little love out to the replay team, team replay out there. It is good to have you present in the circle as well, from your time and your place, even if your time and your place is in the future a little bit. Okay, so does anyone feel like they have anything to that they'd like to share about sustaining themselves or having any fun? And that may seem, having any fun might seem like a kind of a silly question, but I think it's worth coming back to, like, these are our lives right here, precious and powerful, right? And they should involve some fun sometimes. Like, we want to be having fun at sometimes. Life isn't always all picnics and roses and fun, but we are here to celebrate and sing and to experience joy and delight. And it's worth considering whether we're having any fun. So, okay, Dawn, I think, had raised your hand.
I must, in full disclosure, say that it has been heavy the last month. But little ditty for your evening entertainment. What is sustaining me? The unconditional love of divine intuition and daily practice, meditation with the angels who protect and light the way, the reassuring presence of Mother Wisdom, dearest Sophia. These sustain me all my days. Great health, solid relationships, prosperity, and peace. The grace of each new moon and full moon's sweet release. These are the sustenance that sustain me. Blessed be. There you go.
Yes, that's great. And I think it's so nice sometimes. Like I had said that in one of the little, I'm making those little videos and sharing them in the Patreon Facebook group. And I think it's so helpful to remember that even when things feel heavy or feel tough, there's still those pockets of presence and those invitations into presence and those doorways to the sacred really in every day. And so to remember and come back to that process of remembering and returning, that is sustaining to me, and granting myself grace to have to forget and remember and forget and remember and forget and remember over and over. That is that's part of what sustains me, as well as daily practices. Wow, do those fuel my soul and keep me going? Okay, so anybody else have something that sustains them or having fun? Allison?
So, yeah, it's been August a lot. It's been a lot. And I did realize, I'm not having that much fun. And so I'm like being more, there's just like a lot of shift energy right now. And so I'm being a little more flexible with my practices. And I'm working through a creative block with I cleaned up my craft desk that's over there, and I set out my watercolor stuff so I can just sit down, and I'm trying to do a thing of I sit down and I put a 5-minute timer on and I just doodle, and I'm playing like a very cozy video game and making more time for that. And that hopefully will sustain me. But what has been is my sister comes over for chats, and she lives next door. So we go through our garden gate that borders each other. And whenever she comes over, we watch it. I have this one garden bed, and it's got just huge sunflowers. And there's just some of them have like 30 heads of sunflowers. And we're always like, what's new that's bloomed? And I've got pumpkins and watermelon down there. So we're like monitoring the process of like the pumpkins and the watermelons. And that's like a fun thing that feels really sustaining. It's just like watching the growth right now, and like feeling that like abundant energy in the garden.
Those are such special little moments, and those making that pause to just savor something that is relatively, objectively small. That's like where all the power is. I feel like is in celebrating and savoring those moments of small sacredness. I see Bridget has her hand up.
Yeah, both. I guess it's both sustaining me and fun, because it was a week ago. Today was the movie screening of the movie I was in.
Oh
And
yeah.
in my room, both my roommates were there. My roommates from before I was married, before my son was born 25 years ago, I guess it was, when I lived with them, and we were all in the movie together. So one of them flew up from Arizona, like just for that night. We were trying to see if she could change her plane and stay longer, because it was just so much fun to all be together again and watching it with them and like laughing about it stuff. And seeing it on a movie screen. Like everybody else was there to see Barbie, except except basically us and our guests that we brought. But my mom was there, and my boyfriend and my son and everyone. And it was just a lot of fun.
What a wonderful experience to get to share with
Yeah.
people. That's
And
so
what
neat.
sustains me is like, I guess, being creative, because it just reminded me of like, how much fun it was to be involved in something like that.
That's great. Okay, Anne has her hand up.
I think when you first asked that question, I was like, I had to pause and think like, what like, am I having fun? And then you can relate to this because you have young kids too. And since I still have kids at home, like I take for granted the gift of fun through a kid's eyes. So just yesterday we went to a store and they had this huge bin of those squishmallows, right? Those little stuffed animals. And my two girls were like so excited. It was like, I was laughing just because they were so excited and looking at all of them, and we were giggling, and it was fun. And then we were laughing over like the kids' books, right? Like, even though they're older, my older one is 21 and my younger one's 14, but we were looking at these kids' books and we were like, oh, this is so cute, this is so fun. So I think just the whole idea of having fun, because I'm able to stay young through my kids, and so being able to experience that fun through them, but also just reminding me that we all have our child inside, but we don't always act on it or want to share that or show that because we think, we shouldn't or whatever, but it's fun. It is fun when you are able to laugh at silly things and get excited about, like, I had a friend send me stickers, just an envelope full of stickers today. And I opened it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. And I'm looking at all the stickers and my daughter's like, I want that one. I want that. I was like, no, these are mine. But that was fun. It's just fun
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great reminder. And I do feel like in my own life, I've been sharing several times because it's big for me. My oldest is getting ready to move out and my other ones are here. And I've been noticing that I'm very preoccupied with like what he needs to get going and making trips to his apartment to take things in and I haven't been making that much space for fun with the other kids because I'm shocked by how much he's a very easygoing, like low key, low maintenance kind of kid. And this college experience so far, I'm like, this has taken more parenting energy from me in him directly than like he's used from me since he was 2. and it means I've had to really kind of set aside, just like when you have a baby and you kind of sometimes have to set aside the other kids because the baby needs you. I feel like it's like the reverse. Like I've had to kind of set aside the other kids and be like, the big one needs me right now, really for the first time in quite a few years. And but I'm not having that much fun. And it's a good reminder to me to take those times. My younger ones like Squishmallows too, and I'm like, we gotta get some fun going on. So yesterday, I'm going to take a brief pause, tell this tiny story. Is yesterday we were on the way home from driven the trailer to his apartment, and we were going to get home and make food and all that kind of stuff. And they asked if we could just go to KFC instead. And I said, sure. And we went through the KFC drive-through and got like big buckets of chicken, which we don't usually do. And when I got home, I was just like giddy with like the liberation of having bought the chicken. And I was like, I just felt like I was like triumphant. And I said, sometimes this is junk food. Sometimes this is the greatest act of self-care that I could ever have engaged in, is to just get the junky chicken and eat it. And I ate it up feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm like free. And that was fun, actually, to have our chicken. So, okay, so several other hands up. I think Deb had hers up first.
Okay. Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you.
Yay, it's working finally. All right. At the start of the year, I started doing walking the wheel of the year, where I'm observing changes in nature in my own yard. And at first I wasn't very observant. And the more I went out, the more I've noticed other things. I had some trees chopped down because they were dying or they were just losing branches. And I'm seeing all this new growth, not what was originally, but other trees coming up through there. And it's really exciting to see this. I've never seen these changes. And I always say, okay, this is different. But it's watching these changes has just strengthened my connection with my God of spirituality. And right now I'm not walking too well because I had an injury. So I'm waiting for some pain management. Meanwhile, I'm hobbling around with the cane, being very careful not to fall because I'm up there in the ages now. And it's like, if I fall, I'll break a hip. So, I just keep thinking, trying to stay positive, trying to keep doing what I do. And then when I can't, it changes the whole day. My yoga practice has now become just my Tai Chi practice because I can't bend. I can't lift my leg. So with Tai Chi, you don't have to do that. But it's noticing all these little changes that just affect everything else. It's like a domino effect. But I'm still having fun, enjoying it, just seeing different things. And when I can't get out, then I just turn to my creativity. And as most people know, I'm always doing some type of embroidery, and that actually right now is keeping me sane. But that's about it.
Absolutely. And I really do think noticing is like one of the most powerful acts of magic there is, just the noticing. It's really powerful. And I had shared, I stepped out this morning and the word of the day for 30 Days of Goddess was soar. And I stepped out and I was just looking up in the sky and 20 crows came soaring over the trees, like just at that right moment. And I thought, if I'd gotten up a little earlier or a little later, or if I hadn't stepped outside at right that moment, I wouldn't have seen that. And it shifted the whole feeling of feeling kind of like, oh, like I didn't sleep good and my head aches, to I was just like laughing. I had just such a sense of delight because I saw those and I thought it's very small. It can be very small and it can change the whole thing. So it was wonderful. And yes, you do wonderful embroidery, Deb, and it's always such a treat to see it. It's so pretty. Okay, and then we had, I'm not sure if it was Lorianne or Moonbeams who was first with their hand up. So let's see who wishes to go first of the two of them. Okay, we'll go with Lorianne.
I can't get unmuted. I think it was actually games, but I'll jump in there. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. I've been struggling lately with a lot of changes in my life to recognize a purpose and what sustains me. So I am a grandparent. I am a lolly. My heart swells with joy when I recall this beautiful life, this silly giggle, these sparkling blue eyes were once an egg within an embryo that I carried. Lineage. I am sustained by her laughter, by knowing that I am a part of a village and that my actions help sustain her village. I am needed. Aho.
Well, that made me feel a little tear. Thank you for sharing. Okay, and now Moonbeams.
There we go.
There we go.
Sorry, I could not unmute either. So I am Moonbeams. I live on the Oregon coast. This year has, some of you know, last year was really not a good year. This year is having its own challenges, and they are in my own household now. And so we're not having a lot of fun, but we have a lot of new people who've moved into our neighborhood, and we're all creative in one way or another, and we formed a very small little group that we call the Sally Gals, and we meet every Tuesday afternoon to create or just sit. One person comes and all she does is her nails. That is her, she says that is her creative thing, is doing her nails. And so that has been very, very sustaining for me, and reaffirming and uplifting thing that has happened for the last couple of months. And I'm so glad that I have found another group of women besides the ones at Bridget's Grove, but in person to be with and share, and we've shared a lot for people who don't know each other. So
Yeah.
that has really making it a lot easier for me.
Yeah, that face to face, I have my small little group and I have a larger group too, but it's really good to see people. We do a little, I just saw my friends for our Queen Circle that we've been doing. And that was just on Wednesday. And we do like a little anointing and just kind of a spontaneous little blessing. And we put we put the oil on each other's foreheads and then down on each other's hearts and wrists and down to our feet. And there's just something about, being able to actually put your hands on somebody else's feet and feel that kind of trust, because it's really nice. It's a sustaining thing to have physical contact with other people and face-to-face contact with other people. Really important. Okay. Anybody else have a sustaining or fun moment they'd like to share? Or both at once, because sustaining can be fun too. Fun can sustain you. Okay. Okay, so we will have another opportunity to share in a little bit, but I would like to go now to the Lammas reading from We Moon 2023. And as I have done before, I'd like to share both versions, the one that made it into the book and the one that I wrote first, because they have kind of a different feel. And I feel like they both still speak. And so the one that made it, they both have the Cauldron's Call part in there that stayed. So giving yourself a pause to listen, and you can even jot little notes down or feelings or something like this while you listen as well. But there is a cauldron's call sounding in the late summer days, inviting us to deepen and renew. Wisps of steam rising and bubbles of possibility breaking the surface. The pot is on, the flavors are melding, our lives are coming to a boil. Remembering our task to recall the fragments of our attention under a silver moon, reminded of what it means to truly care. We allow the cries of the world to touch our weary hearts where they might yet root and bear fruit. It's not too late. That part wasn't in there. While we watch what grows and thrives and ebbs and fades right where we are, a baby sea turtle is cradled in the gentle hands of a volunteer as it remembers how to follow the moon. A patch of coral is finding a new foothold on a reef gone gray. Everywhere, crows are calling in a wild, mad chorus that seems to circle the world, harsh and magic, all in one call. Something becomes unlocked, unloosed in our still tender hearts and lifts off, howling in gratitude of what it needs to thrive. And so that, as I have explained in some past circles, was my original, as they pointed out, was kind of too individualized. And so I had this vision of when they asked me to rewrite them, I woke up and had this vision kind of people in different landscapes, different times and different places, kind of joining hands together. And so that's where the reef and this was like the ocean one where the people are here. And then I had another one where the people are kind of at the riverside. And I really saw this, like unfolding sort of vision of people gathered in different landscapes, reaching out to one another. So while I had originally been sort of internally directed, that's how it emerged from seeing this kind of vision of people standing in different landscapes, all with their hands extended to one another. So that's where that one came from. And so the first version, there's roots of it. You can hear the connection, but then there's the internal questions are there too. And I thought they were worth offering. I think there is this, I write often in the winter of the twin calls of like retreat and connection. Well, I think in general, we may feel those twin calls at all times of the year. Maybe one, if you're looking at it as like a balancing point, maybe at certain times of the year, the scales tip, so you're more outward directed. But I think we always have the twin poles of being inward and reaching out, and being inward and reaching out. And sometimes it shifts, so you feel more of one than the other. But I think we always have both needs within us waiting, and they both need attention, and they both matter. So here is the original version. So you can settle yourself in for this one as well. And some of it's going to sound familiar, so bear with me. There is a cauldron's call sounding in the late summer days, inviting you to deepen and renew. Wisps of steam rising and bubbles of possibility breaking the surface. The pot is on, the flavors are melding, your life is coming to a boil. Can you taste the flavor? Can you savor what you're cooking? Do you have the opportunity to steep in life's richness and discover what tastes best to you? Are you gathering others together for the feast? Take a pause to drink deeply of your own life. Breathe deep and see what there is right now. Remembering our task to recall the fragments of our attention under a silver moon, reminded of what it means to truly care, to let the cries of the world touch our weary hearts. Let your focus drop within. Call yourself inward and reset from the center. Let your gaze drift and your mind wander. Let your focus expand and widen until you can see yourself sitting in the middle of your own life. Resist temptation to decide or to make proclamations about next steps. Ironic, since I talked about next steps at the beginning. But resist the temptation to make proclamations about next steps. Instead, feel your edges soften and blur as you dwell in a liminal space of not knowing and of undoing. I dare you to be blurred and unknowing. You may feel some tears rising to your eyes. Let them be there. Take a pause, really, just a breath or three. Bring your hands together in front of your lips and kiss your fingertips. Remind yourself that you are strong and loved. If you can, lie back and look at the sky. Maybe you will feel your own pulse thrum in time with what is now, with where you are. Maybe a light breeze will kiss your face and a sunbeam will fall across your tired brow and bless your eyelids. Maybe you will allow yourself to feel how you are held right now. Okay, so savoring our own flavor, our lives coming to a boil. I personally reappreciated the reminder that it was okay to be blurred. I wrote that like 3 years ago. And so when I reread it, when I was getting ready for the circle, I was like, yes, thank you, Past Molly. It is okay to be blurred and uncertain. It is fine. And life keeps going in really a pretty beautiful circle, sometimes blurry, sometimes focused, sometimes active, sometimes in retreat. It goes together. So it's okay to be blurred and unknowing. Okay, so let's see. Did I have? Oh yeah, I did want to reshare the quote. I think I shared this in this month's video, but the Robin Sharma quote that says, your days are your life in miniature. As you live your hours, so you create your years. As you live your days, so you craft your life. Small choices lead to giant consequences over time. There's no such thing as an unimportant day. Okay, so it's 7:46. I had a little bit of a meditation that I had hoped to do about your cauldron of being. And I think if I do it, we're going to run over slightly in time, but I would still like to offer that because this is this cauldron kind of time of the year. And so I'm going to do a modified version. It's from this Goddess Meditations book. And it's a meditation for your priestess power. And I'm going to modify it a little bit because she takes you through like the poisonous things that are stewing in the cauldron and that kind of stuff. I don't think we really have time to do the whole that much work together, but I think we can still settle into this cauldron space and give ourselves some time with our cauldron of our own being to get a feeling for that. So if you want to go ahead, so just warning you that it might take us like 5 or so minutes over. I think I set this to be an hour and 15 minutes actually, so maybe I won't be too late after all. I just try to keep it in. So anyway, we might be nudging past that mark. But going ahead and letting yourself settle in and getting comfortable. If you want to lie down, you may want to lie down instead. If you can still hear me, you can do that. If you want to, anything that makes you feel comfortable, dim your lights, close your eyes, but settling in to your body. And suggesting that a symbol of our priestess power, or even just our own inner power, is the cauldron. Let's consider the cauldron. It can represent the womb or the center of life from which all things are born and reborn. But sitting or lying down comfortably and letting your eyes drift closed, letting your shoulders soften. Taking several deep, easy breaths. Letting your forehead smooth and your eyelids become heavy and easy. Let the breath be easy, easy. Let your mind be easy, easy. Let tension roll away from you on the waves of your breath. Invite yourself to feel a wave of relaxation traveling down, or let's say traveling up from your toes, sweeping through your legs, through your hips, wave of relaxation sweeping through your belly and your chest, down your arms and through your fingertips, up through your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, sweeping across your face, easy, easy, gentle, gentle. Then let yourself sense, imagine, feel, perceive the cauldron of your own being. Maybe it's a little battered and worn, maybe it's a little rusty, maybe there's a pinch of ashes or incense in the bottom. Letting yourself sense that inner cauldron, your cauldron of power. Let the image of the cauldron come to you. It might be shiny, it might be dull, it might have symbols on it. Then taking a look inside to see what is simmering. Maybe ideas or feelings or hopes or even regrets. Sometimes we see something simmering that we wish to scoop away and let go of. Maybe control or resentment or bitterness. Maybe we want to scoop that out of our cauldron and let it go. So giving yourself a pause to sweep your attention around the interior of that cauldron, to see if there's anything you want to scoop out and cast away. Then as you feel it bubbling, your cauldron of power, considering what you may wish to give away from the cauldron. What do you wish to share? What are you simmering up that you want to dish up to others? It might be support, it might be a feeling, it might be a book that you don't need anymore. What do you feel ready to give away? What do you feel ready to serve up and share? Now here in the space of your inner cauldron, considering what you may wish to add to it, what do you want to scoop back in? What do you want to fill your cauldron of power with? You can envision yourself adding it as a scoop or a sprinkle. What do you wish to fill your cauldron with? The answer may bubble up to you as an image, an impression, color, a sensation, a body feeling. Or it may bubble up in the hours or days following this circle. You may get a little hint of the bubble later on. Or perhaps you may wish to fill the cauldron with sacred space, whatever sacred space feels like to you. Add that to your cauldron now. Then you may wish to add a sensation of support and love. Add that to your cauldron. Let it fill it up. Support and love and nourishment. And then you may wish to add 2 bright, shiny pennies as a symbol of gratitude for the loving abundance of the goddess in your life. You may wish to add some twinkling stars, some precious wishes. Add them into your brew. You may wish to add the strength and grace of the river, the roots and connection of the tree, the safe space of the shell. Add them into your cauldron. Ooh, and the wide wings of your own liberation. Stir it up. So letting yourself feel this cauldron as a rich space of nourishment and wisdom and trust and love. Let yourself rest in a sensation of being of overflowing with the goodness that you carry. Remembering we have enough to share and we have more than enough. Our cauldron is a sacred store of nourishment. It feeds us now and forever, feeds us both practical wisdom and blessed understanding. Here lies our power, bubbling and strong. We share what we know, we share what we receive. We share the blessings of the goddess, the divine creatrix of the world. Taking a deep breath, continuing to sense that bubbling, that power, that source of strength and wisdom. And letting your fingers and toes wiggle. Breath continue to come easy. Maybe rotating your head a little bit, easing out your shoulders. And opening your eyes and gently coming back into the room, knowing that you carry this place of power within you. You can dip back into it, and you can also refill it from the current of the sacred that underlies all of our lives. Even if it feels difficult to hear sometimes, it's there, and we can refill our cauldrons from it whenever we need to. No matter what swirls and whirls and howls. Okay, so that ended up being great. It's 7:58. So if anybody has anything, any reflection they would like to share from the cauldron, or even from the wee moon pieces about the season, we have about 2 or 3 minutes where we can do a little bit more sharing before we close for tonight's circle. I also didn't show I have a new t-shirt. Look, ta-da, 30 Days of Goddess. So excited with my new t-shirt. That was fun. Okay, anybody have any cauldron thoughts or Lammas thoughts to share? Dawn?
So the overall arching theme of the cauldron for me was gut and violet flame lighting the cauldron, filled, well, to begin with, cleaned out from the last cook with self-doubt, self-judgment, blame, anything, and then filled with the golden light of spirit, okay? And radiating something that I pray daily for everyone, which is, I am flawed. Oh, am I flawed? But I have known for years we are all one in the light. And so every night I pray that everyone, wherever they're sitting, can feel the peace and calm and healing and strength of divine connection, whatever resonates for them. And so that cauldron was just filled with this bubbling gold spirit juice that I just started flinging all over the place. So it's kind of a hot mess, but fun. So there's my deep meditation, guys, gals.
I love it. That's great. I can see it flinging all out over. Juliet? Did I see you wave? Yes. Oh, I think you need to be unmuted. There you are.
I was clapping without noise for what Dawn said.
Oh, you're clapping without noise. Okay. I only can see one of your hands, so I thought you were raising your hand.
Well, I do have something I'd like to say about how I'm sustaining myself.
Okay.
Yesterday was probably the worst day in years in my life. I went to the dentist to have a cleaning, and on the way there, my brakes gave out.
Oh.
In my car, yes, the brakes didn't work. I happened to be right where I kind of knew, so I pulled into a parking lot and turned around and went to the dentist. And I pumped the brakes, which is an old school thing, but they got me around the corner. And I called my husband, and I was done with the dentist, but I didn't get to have my cleaning because I forgot to take my antibiotics. And I followed him home slowly. And he took the car to the mechanic this morning, and it's the something in the back of the car. And before all this happened, I forgot to say I fell off the bed, and it was very difficult to get up. However, what's sustaining me is one day at a time, one step at a time. My marriage, Ted. My dog is, I have a women's group also. And Bridget's Grove has really helped me so much, keeping me sane during the lockdown and whatnot. So life is difficult, but one step at a time.
Yes.
Blessed be.
Well, thank you for sharing. That is a really bad day. I'm sorry. That's a tough day.
I'm done.
Okay. Anybody else have any cauldron meditation thoughts or anything else before we wrap up today? Okay. No more thoughts. Then we have Dawn had offered to read our snapshot card for the month. So I'm looking at the one, I think this is a good benediction to close with. I do have wait a second. I have a wee moon reading I want first, then we'll do the snapshot card as like our closing benediction. So do I have anybody who's willing to volunteer for the wee moon You Were Born on page 120? Deb?
I might be a little sluggish.
That's okay.
You were born at the dark of the moon, eyes gazing up at the stars, unknown to the world, sheltered amongst the redwoods in the heat of the city. You were born during strange times, but our grandmothers saw this coming, and their grandmothers and their grandmothers. So under the slightest light of a crescent glimmer, they birthed and mended and dreamed up what it might be that we would need to transform and be transformed by those strange and heartbreaking hopeful times. And you were born at the dark of the moon, but there was a murmuration of grandmothers there pulling back the veil of night so that a crescent light would guide you home, so that weathered hands could hold the shape of you, so that their wisdom might glimmer upon your brow.
Thank you so much. I just love having other people's voices reading these readings. Thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take our hands back out as we release the circle, and then we'll close with our benediction from the snapshot card. So taking our hands back out in appreciation and gratitude for what we have shared, what we've experienced, reminding ourselves to tend to our cauldrons, to these inner sources of power, filling them with what we want to offer and share, scooping out what we don't need anymore, and trusting that we have a sacred space of our own belonging to return back to again and again. So feeling the connection of one another, carrying that spirit forward into the month, and then bringing our hands to our hearts. And now Dawn will read our card as our closing prayer. There is the little typo in there, so switch it to of.
Am I reading the wrong? Okay, 1 second. Oops.
Okay. It's the
That's the
offer
wrong part.
myself up, the offer myself up.
I got it.
Great.
Okay. May we grant ourselves grace with our humanness for not knowing and for trying anyways, for choosing what we can, where we are, with what we have. May we cultivate wise discernment, taking time to pause and listen before we choose, allowing ourselves space to determine what is next before rushing too quickly or turning away. Our lives must be both big enough and small enough to hold us too. And I love the typo in that, by the way. I did not correct it in my journal because one thing I love about this group is that it's real, you know, it's not plastic. It's not Barbie, baby. It's the real deal. And I look at all these beautiful faces and yeah, it's good. It's like coming home. It's good stuff. So thank you for creating that space, Molly. It's gorgeous. Love it.
Thank you. And thank you all for
Mhm.
showing up. And just a reminder that our next Simple and Sacred Circle will be on September 8th. It's a little early for the autumn equinox, but we'll still go ahead and have an autumn equinox theme. So that's coming, that will be September 8th at 7 Central. And also I did want to remind you, I posted in the newsletter, but I'm the guest for the Womancraft Publishing Book Club coming up with Walking with Persephone, and that's actually on September 7th. So if you want to have super huge doses of me, you can come to both of those. There will be the Womancraft Publishing Book Club is somewhere around 1 o'clock in US time. It's different time zone, and then Simple and Sacred will be September 8th. So you have multiple opportunities. So I did want to mention that, but thank you so much for coming tonight, for sharing your voices and your thoughts and your space with us. I really enjoy seeing you in person on this monthly basis. It's really great. So thank you everybody for coming, and I look forward to seeing you next month. And yeah, as we move forward into this month, please keep giving yourself what sustains you. Please keep allowing yourself those things, granting yourself those pauses to have what sustains you, and keep having some fun. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye, everybody.